webinar. The world is evolving at an unprecedented pace, and technology sits at the heart of this transformation. You're welcome. It's another episode of the EIT webinar, and we're going to be speaking on tech skills as a catalyst for economic development, closing the global opportunity gap. My name is Antonia Aniel, and it's always a delight to be live at AIT and more so co-hosting our AIT webinar. We are opportuned to hear firsthand from industry experts. Last month, we had the amazing Uchenna Okafor-Biora, who is the head of learning and development of Recruit Consulting Limited. And of course, we're also graced by Ebonlua Judonu, who is also a learning and development specialist at McTay Group. And they shared with us on how to get to work after we've upskilled ourselves, right? And it was really a fantastic time. And I'm sure it seems like an unfinished course, and I know we're still going to get at it, but let's go to what we have for you today, and it's going to be amazing. Yes, we had amazing strategies that our speakers shared with us last time, and today we're also opportuned to hear from industry experts, our esteemed speakers who will engage us in thought-provoking discussion and on how to harness the power of tech skills to close the gap and build a more vibrant economy. Ladies and gentlemen, I officially welcome you to the EIT webinar for the month of May. And as always, I have my amazing co-host, the amazing Mr. Oluwatosin Olokogui on call. Mr. Tosin, it's so nice to be here again.
Good evening. Good evening, Mr. Chijioke. Good evening, Darlington. Good evening, Akintayo. It's so nice to be on this call with this name.
It's Esther. It's Esther.
Esther, the superwoman in our midst. Exciting to be here as always. And like I said, we're going to be talking about tech skills in particular as a catalyst for economic development, closing the global opportunity gap. And as always, like I mentioned earlier on, we're graced by industry experts who know their onions and who are going to help us to digest this topic, providing solutions and also discussing some of the challenges that we experience in this space. All right, so I'm going to be passing the mic over to Mr. Tosin, who is going to be introducing to us our speakers for today's webinar.
All right, thank you, Antonia. It's so grateful to be on this call with you again today, and I'm super excited for the topic we are looking at today, which is the tech skills as a catalyst for economic development, and we are looking at closing the global opportunity gap. And so we have three panelists before us today, and I'm so glad that among these panelists, we also have a female who is Esther Adelaja. That is gender balance, and we are trying to promote the SDG Go 4, and I'm super excited. And so I'll just be reading the profile of these speakers one after the other, and in no particular order. I'll be starting with Chijioke. Chijioke is a talent management specialist. He has actually practiced in Nigeria, US, and UK. Presently working at Lekoi Limited. So very quickly, Chijioke has over 12 years of experience providing strategic and efficient HRBP and talent management services in the oil and gas and tech industry across Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, South Africa, US, and UK. He has held various HR functions, including recruitment, talent management, learning and development, competency management, among others. That's so rich. He has worked for both exploration and production organizations, the major players in the industry, and oil servicing organizations. The secondary players in the sector. Chijioke holds a bachelor's degree in information management technology from the Federal University of Technology, Owerri, and a master's in human resources management and development from the University of Salford, Manchester, UK. He is an associate professional member of the Society of Human Resource Management and international professional member of the Association for Talent Development, a member of the Land Performance Institute, and a certified professional in human resources international. So, my colleague on this call today, all the audience on this call, I will just want to raise a thumb for UK, who is going to be panelist for this session today. Thank you so much for joining this session. And so very quickly, I'll be going to be reading the bio of Esther Adelaja. Esther Adelaja is a technical recruiter at GSD Solution Poland. And very briefly, Esther Ajao is a seasoned technical recruiter with 5 years of experience in talent acquisition, specializing in recent years in the tech industry, with a passion for connecting top talent with innovative companies. With a passion for connecting top talent with innovative companies, Esther has honed their skills in sourcing, screening, and selecting candidates who not only meet the technical recruitment, but also align with the company core values. Our dedication to building lasting relationship with both candidate and hiring managers ensures successful placements that drive business growth and innovation. My colleague on the call and everyone on this call this evening with us, I will actually appreciate if you can raise the banner up for Esther Adelaja. And just very quickly, I'll be reading the second male we have on this call as a panelist this evening, the person of Darlington Anyanwu. I think this is a coincidence because we also have Antonia Anyanwu on this call. Antonia, probably you'll be smiling, you are happy. Maybe one day I'm going to have somebody who will have my own son into on this call. So Darlington Anyanwu is a seasoned global technical recruiter and co-founder of Flipseed, with expertise in developing and executing recruitment strategies across diverse industries. With a proven track record in end-to-end tech and generalist recruitment, Darlington excels in sourcing, screening, offer negotiations, placement, and onboarding processes. His recruitment experience spans across the APAC, North America, Europe, Middle East, and African regions, encompassing various vertical markets, including information technology, banking, financial services, oil and gas, FMCG, health, and more. Darlington Anyanwu excels in sourcing top-tier technical talent worldwide, from full-stack developers to mobile engineers and beyond. His expertise spans various roles, contributing significantly to global organization success. With a commitment to engineering fun and happiness, Darlington's endeavors align seamlessly with Flipside, a recreation and lifestyle brand dedicated to creating personalized, notable experiences for tech-driven brands and individuals. Flipside's mission to make fun and leisure accessible to everyone resonates deeply with Darlington's vision, underscoring his role in cultivating a vibrant and fulfilling ecosystem with the tech community. My audience on the call today and my colleagues on this call, I will give it to you just to raise a banner up for Darlington, who is also a panelist for this session. And just to make sure that every one of us are actually on this call and we are actually excited to be on this call too this evening, I will permit you to use your emoji in the chat button just to be sure that you're excited and you're with us on the call. On this note, I'm giving the floor back to my super amazing Antonia, who is the co-host for this session, to actually lead us on the next phase. Thank you so much.
Interesting. Thank you so much, Mr. Tosin, for the amazing introduction. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it all, and I'm sure you're reassured of our speakers' competence in tackling today's topic. So we're just going to dive right into the discussion, right? And I'm going to be starting with this question, right? We're going to be looking at the economic impact of tech skills, because again, we're talking about how tech skills act as a catalyst for economic development and how with tech skills we can close the global opportunity gap, right? So we're going to be looking at the economic impact of tech skills. in that we look at numbers, we always say numbers is life, right? We look at numbers and we know numbers do not lie, right? And we're going to be using like real life data scenario, real life world scenarios, and we're going to use the telephone as a case study. So for me, this is quite interesting as actually watching a movie, and as in sometimes tech just evolves and we're not even keeping tabs and taking note of how much progress we're making. And I could just see in the movie, like for people to make their calls, they'll have to go into those big phone booths, right? And we can see the evolution from that and to right now, everybody, most of the world actually owning a mobile phone at their own house, right? So we're going to just discuss, and I'm going to start in no particular orders, or maybe let's go with the ladies first, right? So let's start. Oh no, let me start with my namesake. I'll start with Darlington. So Darlington, what are your thoughts on the economic impact of tech skills? We can see how the evolution of telephone has made communication, made work in itself more effective, more efficient, in the sense that our typical phones nowadays are even more faster, have more processing powers than our early computers. So can you just share your thoughts on the impact of tech skills in the economy?
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much, Antonia, for sharing that. For that question. And so I think it's quite clear, right? Looking at where we are right now, we all know that the world is now, tech driven. There are lots of people who are, looking towards innovation, all right, and innovative ways to actually make things happen. Um, Before we was almost impossible to actually, bank from the comfort of your home, right? But now, even with technology, you find out that you could actually even be in the comfort of your home, have a bank, open a bank account, make transactions, even from here to like um, the countries miles away, right? So you can see the impact of technology, and also in terms of uh, our economy in general, you can see that there are a lot of things happening, right? There are a lot of things happening right now. You can see people um, who are driven in such a way that they come up with certain solutions that even impact society. I mean, between me and you, we can see how lots of people who you would probably think that should probably be doing what do they call it now? Is it Yahoo Yahoo or something? You can see that many of them are learning lots of tech skills, DevOps, software engineering. Why? Just to better their lives. And much more than that, you can see how this adds to society, right? Because these solutions are solutions that we use in our everyday lives, right? I mean, you want to eat instead of going out to get food, you're ordering food from home. That's child tech. Someone was responsible for that. Someone sat down and thought about an idea like that. I mean, you gave a good example of telephone, right? How it was, impossible until I think it was during Obasanjo's era, right? That came about. Yeah. So I mean, you can see different economic realities due to advancement in technology, right? And there are lots of other scenarios, but I think I'll just like to stop here now.
Definitely, Darlington, like you said, and we've actually seen that evolution in the media world, right? Where we have young people who would eat at all, would be distracted by ill devices coming up, being creative, using technology to further their reach, right? We see people, content creators coming up every day and showcasing their skills. So I'll stay on that thought because this is like a general discussion. I'd also like to hear Mr. Chijioke's thoughts on this.
Oh, thanks, Antonio. So I'll write on what Darlington mentioned. We can see clearly in the financial sector in Nigeria how the tech companies, the tech organizations are there right now providing solutions to our everyday needs for financial transactions we do. And to the extent that they are now competing with the legacy banks, I'm sure every one of us remember when we do transactions back then with your POS, the point of sales machine. When you do the POS transactions, we have to wait to confirm payment. But now with the evolution of OPay and this other new money points, a POS transaction can also transfer, and it gets into the device right there on the spot, and it solves a lot of problems. And but I'll also focus on the impact in terms of career impacts to the every individual. People have gotten jobs, through having tech skills, and this has exposed or given us opportunity to have Nigerians and even Africans get, good jobs outside Nigeria, even globally. People have people who work from Nigeria here, providing solutions to organizations globally, both as freelancers, both as full-time employees. Companies are having workforce all over the place. The companies are opening, even the fintech companies, some of them don't have their workers in the same location. Some of them have their workers in the 36 states of Nigeria. Some of them have their workers outside Nigeria. So technology and tech skills has given opportunity for workers, both globally and internationally, to become, a global worker. You can work both local and international, even giving employers like we an opportunity to hire from a wide range of workers. I don't have to focus on hiring only in Nigeria. I can find talent anywhere in the world if the skill can be done wherever it is. So it has had so much impact in the economy because it has provided jobs. It has provided opportunity for companies like these small tech companies to compete with the legacy banks who were giants back then when they were even in university, and has given impact. And I'm sure, in terms of taxes and revenues, the government can see the impact those companies have had. The companies opened, some of them opened probably 5 years or 10 years ago, and they're competing in terms of tax revenues to the government with some of the big companies that have been there for years. So the impact is there both from the citizens, impact is there both from the government, impact is there both from the companies themselves, and the value they've added to the economy. So that's my take on this.
Amazing, beautifully said, Chijioke. Yeah, evolution, like one thing I can get from what you and Darlington has said is tech has brings evolution, which fosters growth. And a beautiful case study that Darlington shared was the bank transfer, and now Chijioke is telling us that tech breaks barriers, gives us borderless, limitless profitability. And I would still on that, I would also like to hear Esther's thoughts on this.
Thank you, Antonia. So I'll pick up from Chijioke. He said he has improved life. So for someone like me that works with a company in Poland, makes life easier. So it has improved our energy, our electricity, access to clean water. Then we have using manual, but now it's very easy to have access to all those things. So it has just evolved in our electricity plan. It has evolved in energy, basically, because they've said everything about the evolving. So I'll just say it has evolved in energy, it has evolved in electricity, it has evolved in access of getting clean water, even in remote places.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, so access, we talked about borderless profitability, and we'll talk about efficiency in service delivery. So now we've been talking about these tech skills, and we know the importance. We see now that tech skills is imperative for every technology, every community to thrive, right? We need tech skills because, again, technology is not supposed to come replace humans. Technology, like my mentor is say, is just an enabler to enable us do our works, carry out our works effectively, right? So I would like to ask this general question before we go into the panel discussion. How can we train people? How can people get access to these tech skills? How can we equip individuals with the tech skills they need to thrive in this digital economy? Just for synergy, maybe we'll go with Chijioke first.
Okay. So thanks for that question. So I would say through attending several first of all, understand what you want first in terms of skills. What do you want to learn? What do you want to do? And it's something you're passionate about. There's so many training institutes, both within Nigeria and globally, that can give you the opportunity to learn. Some of which I won't mention names of any of them, but I know a good number of them provide good tech skills and a boot camp. Some of the boot camp are quite comprehensive, where they teach you tech skills. You learn these skills. You have opportunity to even try some simulation, go on some projects, and after that, some of them last like a month, 2 months, 3 months. But some of them are global. You can do some of them online. Some of them are within Nigeria here. But one of the things that can be done that will help us solve the gap better is to introduce tech skills into the universities. Because we're having graduates come out or complete their education, and the tech skills are outdated. In the university. For example, I studied information management technology, and back then when I was in school, I had a course on software engineering, and I was taught Fortran. Fortran was the old software, and was taught on the board. I never saw a computer. I was taught by a very old 90-year-old lecturer. We passed the exam, just passed the exam, but did I understand the course? I didn't understand the course. So I feel the Nigerian educational system should evolve, and we should not keep all the work for those new companies coming out and wait for graduates to finish 5 years. They now learn tech skills. Why don't we learn it while they are schooling? So that when that are coming out, they're already ready for the job market, and it's easier to just hire such a person. That's my take. Solving the skill gap.
Fantastic. And I could totally relate, Mr. Chioke. So my background is computer science, and for me, I was taught QBasic in school. QBasic. Interesting. So yeah, we need to our policymakers need to revisit our curriculums in our schools to ensure that it matches up with the work demand. I would also like to hear Darlington's thought on this and Esther's thoughts, and then Mr. Tosin would take the panel section. Thank you.
Yeah, all right. Thank you. Good thing is that we are discussing technology here, and what that means is, we've come to that point where you can literally, learn anything you want to learn virtually. Yeah, you can learn whatever you want to learn. So if you say you want to go to a school, you can go to a school. If you say you want to learn from the comfort of your home, that's also, available, right? Eco Institute is also one of them, I believe, where you could, pick up some tech skills for yourself. There are lots of other platforms online. And yeah, so it's just borderless, and that's one thing that tech, offers you. And it's good that firstly, before you even say you want to pick up any tech skill, you identify what exactly you want to do, right? So if you're the type that probably enjoys design, then you probably want to go into graphics design or product design, brand designing, right? If you understand, speaking some technical jargons and just like to solve through, certain problems, identify life's problems and looking for solutions, then you probably know that your domain is, building, that is the code tech, right? Yeah, so I think firstly is to identify what exactly you want, the industry you want to play in as well, which is, also very significant, right? I've met quite a number of people who will tell you that they do not want to go outside fintech, right? And fintech is their domain. So you need to identify, after you've identified your skill set, you want to also identify what industry you want to play in, right? Using my brother now, for example, he doesn't want to go outside of health tech, right? So people can decide to, pick wherever you want to, ply your trade. Yeah, so it is very important that you get all of these things. Yeah, but to answer your question again, you can pick up tech skills from anywhere, even on YouTube. Most of my technical recruitment knowledge we are gotten from YouTube, right? So yeah, so that's what I would contribute to that.
Thank you so much, Darlington, for streamlining that for us, identifying what you want to do, identifying your likes, what you like doing, so it doesn't become boring or bothersome to you at the long run, right? And then you also spoke about identifying the industry you want to play in, and I would also be asking Esther her thoughts on this.
Thank you, Antonia. So first of all, I'll first talk about still identifying what exactly you want to do, what tech skills you're interested in, you want to focus on. Then the next one is taking a course. Is borderless. Either you go for online or having a physical class is very important to help you grow. Because when you have interactions with your colleagues, with students, it helps you grow. And then practical, just like you said, it's on the board, like Chijioke mentioned, I was on the board. So when you're done with the practical, with the reading with your colleagues in the class, you need to go for practical. So practicals involve looking for a company to volunteer or serve as an intern. I know a lot of young people who want to go for an intern is free, but it's very important. Like you being able to practicalize, practice makes perfect. So that's going to help you more to be able to understand the tech skills and then stay well informed in the industry you picked.
Thank you so much. So we can all hear from what our speakers have said. So it's not just lying on the bed of roses, right? You have to be intentional with what you do, and you can getting from what I got from them is once you identify these areas, it's not just, oh, I want to be a UX designer. Oh, that's good. No, you have to do your research. You have to understand the field, understand how the field goes, right? And to that, I'm going to be giving the mic over to Mr. Tosin, who will take us from here.
All right. Thank you so much, Antonia. Thank you, Esther. Thank you, Darlington. Thank you, Chijioke. So I was actually taking my notes. I was actually jotting. And I love that from the three responses from the three panelists, there is an intersection of the word self-awareness. And that's, self-awareness is one of the soft skills that only few people actually have these skills. I've seen people just want to jump on a course because a friend is taking it. We don't have that self-awareness and self-identification of whatsoever people want to do. Just like some of us who have found ourselves in the learning and development space. Some of our friends, I would say, they are coding, they are DevOps and all, they are earning big. But because we have identified where our strength lies, and I think that is one important thing that people have to actually first identify before even jumping into the tech skills. And for Darlington said something. He said, we can learn anywhere. The statement we can learn anywhere is as a result of the involvement of technology. Some years ago, you can't say you can learn anywhere. It's not possible. And be rest assured that even now that we can learn anywhere, some persons don't even know the anywhere to learn. They are still even finding it difficult. It's so prevalent in some on the SAP community that people don't even know how to use the YouTube. Some people don't even know how to navigate their path. And from what Chijioke has said, it has become rigid that I'm sorry to say some lecturers don't even know how to set up a Zoom session for their student. So it has always been static, a conventional way of learning and all. If we can make GST and GNS compulsory for university, why can't we reintroduce, just rejig our curriculum and make tech skills an important course too, such that students can learn probably your 100 level and 200 level. You must have actually developed a tech skills which can actually help you become a global citizen, because the way it's going now, everybody wants to earn dollar, right? People wants to use another currency aside from the Naira. And one thing that can enable us get access to this currency is the technology. And so there is a need for the policymakers, the lawmakers to actually look at a way where they can actually rejig. I'm not sure the last time they actually reviewed our curriculum and some of these educational materials that we are using. It is static. And there's a need for everyone to come together, to come online. I don't know why a lecturer want to fix a 7 a.m. lecture for some students who will actually spend like maybe 1 hour before they even get to their lecture center, where you can actually make use of technology. There is the Teams, there is Google Meet and all. So there is a continuous involvement And there is a need for us to call everybody. Everybody has to be on board for us to actually get to where we are going. So this is a very, very interesting conversation. And I love the topic precisely, saying tech skills as a catalyst for economic development. If the economy must actually develop, then there's a need for us to actually come with a very strong synergy to see what we can do about it. And so very quickly, we'll be going to the personalized question. And my first question will be going to Esther. I don't know why I'm just speaking Esther first. And Esther, this is the question. Antonia will help me post the question on the chat box so that I can see. Working remotely for a Polish company, what insights can you share about the global tech skill demands you encounter? Like you have been working with a Polish company, and so we want you just to share some insights that you can actually tell us about the global tech skills demand you encounter, and how do you navigate these demands when sourcing talent from various locations? Thank you, Esther. You have the floor.
Wow. Thank you, Oluwatosin. Thank you, Antonia. So working for a Polish company, it's been great and not easy at all. So I'll talk about the global tech skills demand I usually encounter. I have software development, I have software engineering, I have artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, cloud computing, and data analysis. So those are the major ones. There are other skills too, but those are the major ones I encounter. And then under those roles, under the software development, it's just a process of programming to test, to create, and debug. So we have so software development is a skill. So let's talk about the roles underneath it. I have web developer and database administrator, sorry. Then I have software engineering. It's just a process of development of software that is functional and useful. So software engineering is the skill. So the role underneath it is IT consultant, game developer, software engineering, embedded software engineering, so AutoZAR, software engineering. So those are the basic roles underneath it that I recruit. I also have artificial intelligence. That's a new wave. It's everywhere. So it's just an ability for a machine to mimic human intelligence. It's really the new wave. So I'll employ young people to focus on artificial intelligence. So the roles underneath it, I have machine learning engineering, I have data science, I have business intelligence analyst. Cybersecurity, we all know about cybersecurity. We have heard about cybersecurity. It's just a way to keep our data from cyber attack, either that intend to change or destroy our information. So we have roles underneath it because cybersecurity is just the skill. So the roles underneath it are network engineering, cyber security analyst, system engineer. We have cloud computing. Cloud computing too is another interesting skill that is needed. We can remember back in the days, some years back, where we usually use hard drive to store our documents. But now with the wave of remote work everywhere, where it's borderless, just like Darlington mentioned. So now we store our information in the cloud where everyone can have access to it. It's just like data storage and networking. So for me in Nigeria, I can access it. For my colleagues in Poland, in Egypt, they can access it too. So it's also very important. So roles under cloud computing, we have full stack developer, we have software engineering, we have cloud engineer. Then we have data analyst. Data analyst is another important skill. It's very important. It's what a lot of organizations use to aid their decision making. So it's very important. So roles underneath it, I have data analyst, I have consultant, I have IT system architecture. So there are other ones too. Not really much. So I listed the major one I work with. And then I have other ones. I have programming, I have data science, and I have network maintenance. It's very important to have all those skills. So I made mention of artificial intelligence, software development, software engineering, cybersecurity, cloud computing, data analysis. It's very important. So how do I navigate my talent? So I harness the power of social media, basically professional job boards, remote job boards. That's what I use. Webinars like this, global events where I'll be able to reach a lot of talent, a diverse talent, to be able to deliver exceptional candidates to my clients. Thank you. I can hear you.
All right. Thank you. So very quickly, Esther, I love that you are so. I don't want to go that route. I would have loved to ask what's your discipline while you started your career, but I know it's not related to tech. I know.
At all. At all. Microbiology.
Yeah, how you see, but seeing you mentioning tech skills, mentioning the rules and all, it it's so wow. It shows the navigation. It shows how you have been able to transform from one point to the other in the tech global space. But there is this question I want to actually ask. You mentioned when you were about to call social media, you actually smiled. You said social media would meet people. So I want to ask you a question. What do you think this your current role would have been without social media in place now? How do you see your work now without social media? Probably it helps our audience get some insight.
It won't have been easy. It will be like a lot of manual work. It won't have been easy. I used LinkedIn Premium. There's Guild Hub that I use, and then I have like a professional group where there are lots of remote workers there and looking for different candidates. You also have freelancer.com. So all those make life very easy. So I can imagine if we don't have, okay, maybe we are still using the 3310 phone where there's no WhatsApp, where you can't even browse. So I've been crazy. Maybe that just been on the laptop. We'll find a way around it. But we're grateful for technology and tools that came up.
Yeah, thank you, Esther. So this is just, this is a conversation, right? And it's for us to actually reflect on where we are coming from. And that actually leads me back to what Darlington said about anywhere. So the social media and the technology is now, it's actually helping this conversation to actually understand that actually the anywhere is important. We will have it anywhere. In as much we can actually navigate our path and know what we are doing. I can even imagine that even the social media, there are days you would have actually shortlisted a lot of candidates for interview, and after the interview, you still find out that you don't even have the right candidate for the job. So imagine the social media is not there for you to even push out something and all of that. So I'll be taking a question next, and the question will be going to Chijioke. And the question is, can you share a specific example from your experience at Leg Oil of how the company has implemented upskilling or reskilling programs to address the evolving tech skills needs within your workforce? You can actually talk about the challenges and successes, how your company has been able to implement upskilling and reskilling programs to address the evolving tech skills, looking at the fact that you're coming from the oil and gas sector. Thank you.
Okay, all right, thanks for the question. So for us to address upskilling and reskilling, we first of all need to know what are the gaps, first of all, because if you don't know, how would you solve the problem? So what we do is to create an avenue or a program where we are able to identify, first of all, monitor employees' performance, identify skill gap, and these skill gap are tailored to our activities, tailored to business activities, tailored to industrial activities, short term and long term, So by that, we identify what gaps. Because you cannot solve the problem if you don't know what the problems are. If not, you'll be upskilling when you're not making progress. So when we identify these gaps, we create programs to solve this skill gap. And the programs we approach, we use the normal approach by human resources, which emphasize that, in a learning program, for what we focus first of all on the job first of all, because most part of in terms of training, HR space recommends that there's a model that recommends that most of your training should focus first on the job, start on the job, because it's from what they do every day that they'll get good at. So on the job learning, how do you make them learn within themselves? How do you learn them, job shadow themselves? How do you make them teach themselves, peer themselves, mentor themselves? That is a major part of the learning. Secondly, we go to social learning, where they go for conferences, events, coaching and mentoring and all that. Then lastly, we now focus on training. So because most people that are hearing me now wondering, why are we going that way? Most people should focus on training. But there's a research about training that, if you go for a training right now, and after you've been trained, and you never ever have to practicalize what you've been trained, in the next few weeks or days, you probably won't remember anything from that training. So if you focus on only sending employees for training, but they never practicalize what they've learned, then you're not really upskilling them per se. So for us, it's on the job, then we'll take you for trainings. From trainings, you come back to do the job, so you improve your skills. And that has given us tremendous success, over the years. Our organization has been up for running for over 10 years, and we have several successes that's already in the news that you can read about. So that shows that just following our approach and even the HR approach for learning and development works. While you train them, they must have the opportunity to practicalize the skills they learned. And once they practicalize it, with time they become good at it. Then you can now upskill them more again. And as that approach works, and I'm sure that's almost completely. So that's what we do.
All right, thank you so much, Chijoke. And I was on a call with somebody some days ago, and I said, for learning and development to thrive in any organization, the person who is actually managing the learning and development and the human resource must understand that the requirement or what every workers need is not static, it's not universal. So you cannot just come to say you need to go on data analytics training. It has to align with my need. And when you're saying it align with my needs, it must have been as a result of probably after my appraisal, you felt there's this key gap that would have actually helped me on the job. And I think that is exactly what you are saying, which people need to, the learning and development space, the expert in that field needs to open their mind to the fact that that you are a learning and development expert does not mean you know all the needs of your workers. There's a need for you to allow them, check them, and see, okay, who needs this and who needs this. You can't just come tomorrow and say, everybody, you have to go on read management and all. You just be doing, you'll be spending the right resources in the wrong place. And I think I love the model you have explained. You have not limited what your organization does to training alone. You have talked about conferences. You have talked about a lot of programs. I know it actually helps people to thrive. So I love that. That's so great. And so I'll be going back to Darlington. But before I go back to Darlington, I must confess that I'm actually jealous this evening. I don't know why Antonia and Darlington are bearing the same name. I'll look for a way to find somebody on this call, maybe in one of the sessions that is actually my name too. I'll find a way. So Darlington, let's go quickly to your question. The first one is, as a co-founder of Flipside, how does Flipside as a startup keep its team upskilled on emerging tech? What are you doing? We want to hear how you are trying to put that together. And I love the fact that what your company does is to actually to make sure that everybody, after our stressful moment and all, we have somewhere we can actually relax our brain, do something just to keep us fired up again. Thank you, Darlington.
Okay, thank you very much for that question. So firstly, I'm going to start like this, right? Now, I'll just give a background to who we are as an organization, and then I'll proceed from there. So we are and it's called Flipside, right? We are a recreational and lifestyle brand that seeks to engineer fun and happiness. And so what that means is basically like really simple. We try as much as possible to make fun and leisure accessible to everyone, regardless of your location or how intensely immersed in your work, right? And one of life's stress paradoxes is that the things that we do for fun when we are away from work actually impact our productivity at work. And this goes on to show, or rather to support the popular saying that all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, right? So to answer your question more specifically, the way our team is structured is a little unconventional due to our tech fun nature, right? So I will speak more generally. I'll speak more generally. And so keeping your team upskilled in emerging technologies is very crucial for the growth and competitiveness of an organization, right? And some of the things that I have learned over time, number one would involve instituting a continuous culture of learning, right? So what we do even at Flipside is we foster the culture of continuous learning within our organization, right? So what we do is we basically just encourage team members to be curious and to stay updated on the latest trends, the latest technologies that are relevant to their industry. There are times when I'm just surfing the net, and I see, something on content creation or something on design, and I just share with my team. It could be maybe a program, it could be a webinar, just like we are having here, right? So we've instituted that culture of, learning, right? And also I'll speak a little to what my colleague here said, right? He mentioned something on training programs, right? So I think startups should also, look at that area, invest in training programs and workshops, right? Because this would eventually, help the team members to develop new skills. And, you can either organize these sessions internally, or you could even send your employees to external training programs or conferences or seminars, right? And I mean, another point is, thank God for online courses and resources, right? This help to provide access to, online learning platforms. We have many of them. We have Udemy, we have Coursera, we even have LinkedIn Learning, right? And, these are platforms where your team can access a wide range of courses, right, on emerging technologies. And sometimes, maybe 1 or 2 times, we've also given vouchers to people who have attended our event, are seeking maybe to upskill, right? We've given vouchers to, for some of them to just take courses on Udemy. And, we also, and one of the things that we pride ourselves with is we also give opportunities for people to learn, and for people to actually even, so for people to learn and, take new technology classes and whatnot, right? And I think that one very important thing as well is what I would call KSS, knowledge sharing sessions, right? So we encourage that, KSS within the team should be made a norm, right? So we do have, KSS, and I believe that this sort of institutes confidence within the team. And I'm saying this because I've also been a beneficiary of something like this, right? Earlier on in my career, there were times when we usually, structure KSS sessions on Wednesdays. And if you're noticed, or if they've observed that you are, sort of like the shy type, they would ask you to come out and speak. You address, people in public of over 200 people, or of over 200 people. Yeah. So this sort of institute confidence, within the team. One thing also is it encourages, team members to pick up good research skills, because before you can deliver any, before you can impact knowledge or deliver, a speech or whatever, right, you need to have done, good research, right? And another thing is, I think mentorship, programs, right? So we paired team members with, more experienced colleagues who can then mentor them in specific emerging technologies or maybe areas of interest. If, for example, you are interested in learning full stack engineering, maybe Java on the back end, for example, we've identified certain people that can mentor you in that regard, right? And finally, I think that it is very important that organizations should start to allocate budget, right, specifically for training and, upskilling initiatives, right? This is very important that as leaders of our organizations, we should invest in our teams, development, and when we invest in our team's development, what we are indirectly doing is we are also investing in the future of the success of our organization, and that's the way I look at it. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Darlington. All of your points actually resonated with me, and the truth is, people need to understand the concept around startup. We have heard about startup founders who collected, this funding and all, and they just boost the money, they use it anyhow. But from all of the answers you have given, it shows that your organization is actually exploring the ingenuity strategy to actually make sure that you are getting the actual result you needed. For instance, you are talking about the knowledge sharing session, for instance. let's look at it, for example, for a company who doesn't have so much budget like the bigger, like the big brothers in the industry who actually have this big allocation of resources for training and upskilling. But for the knowledge sharing session, it will actually help the team. It's going to create a synergy between everybody. For instance, you are good at maybe content creation and all. And instead of maybe spending some amount of dollars, sending other things to maybe just for them to go get this training, but because of this knowledge sharing session, somebody like me who is on your team can actually get access to this learning and training. You mentioned about continuous learning. I know that one of the learning strategy and learning method for adults are always curious. It's, for instance, you just drop something on the group, and because people just know this thing that has been dropped on the group will need it for the next engagement or the next meeting. Let me just go, let me go learn on it. So I love that you have been able to actually answer these questions and giving the right answers to them. I hope that some of the startup founders and all, we actually take some of these lessons and actually apply to their various sector or company. So I will just be giving the floor back to Antonia. Antonia is like my co-host and my partner in this webinar programs. I know she must have been looking at me, so it won't be like it's the male child that has been talking since. Let me give the battle to the female child to actually do justice to the remaining part. Thank you, Antonia.
Thank you, Mr. Tosin. I've actually been having an amazing time, and I was kind of reassured of what we're doing currently at EIT. At EIT, we offer, Darlington spoke about when he was talking about designing frameworks for learning, he talked about personalization. We also we have Chijioke also spoke of one thing that is synonymous with what everybody's saying. Everybody's saying the training shouldn't just be static. We should actually, when designing our flow, it should be personalized. Don't just go generally. And I also reassured with what we're doing here at Eco Institute of Technology. Our learning methodology is the 70-20-10, and also, so not to deviate from our webinar, you can just go to www.ecoinstituteoftechnology.com and just check out any of our programs. You'd also see the testimonials and all of that on our site, so that we can just continue with today's webinar. We have, the time is fast spent, and we're hoping we can get an answer from each speaker before we conclude today's session. So I'm just going to go to Chijioke. Chijioke, what approaches attract and retain tech talent in a global market? Can you share effective regional strategies you've encountered on the job? So if you could just like 2 minutes, that we get to get as much as we can from this few minutes. Thank you.
All right. So to retain talent, you have to first of all have a good culture in the organization. The company, you have a good culture, make them feel as they're part of the organization, make them feel that they're included in every decision you're making. You have to have good, like we mentioned, talking about here, learning and development program. The employees should not join you, as a software developer and leave software developer will be learning, maybe knows only Java and work with you for 5 years and still know only Java. You should work with you for 5 years and maybe you've sent him for several trainings and to learn other skills, and he or she will feel that is growing. Opportunity to be rewarded. You should have a good rewarding system, and the rewarding system should come from compensation, the perks and benefits, and should be tailored to what they need. Several tech companies have, depending on your demographic of the workforce, if you have a younger workforce or an older workforce, tailor the benefits to fit into your workforce. I wouldn't assume you have a young, for example, these fintech companies now, most of them, the average age, are quite young there. When I'm creating benefit for them, it should be something that aligns to them, and they feel part of it. Lastly, you also have good work-life balance. Most of these companies have good work-life balance, and that's one of the reasons why, some of them retain in some good opportunity, they retain talents more than some other companies, and that's why in recent times, I think from based on research and discussion with colleagues, we see that the legacy banks are now taking in the culture from these fintechs so that they can retain their tech talents, because some of them, if you follow the previous culture they have with banks, they have a very rigid culture, in terms of their benefits and their work-life balance. But now there's more, it's better now. So that way, if you have this approach, a good culture, good benefits program, you retain talents, they'll stay with you, and they feel they're growing with you, they'll stay with you. That's our approach, and it has worked for us so far. Regional, and in terms of our approach, we have a global approach for our HR processes. So it covers all our regions. So our talents in the US, our talents in the UK, same approach works. A bit of tweaking to fit into the local laws in those locations, but it's the same approach and it still works.
Amazing. Thank you very much. So quickly, I would just jump to Esther. Esther, can you share some best practices for building a strong and collaborative tech team in remote work environments?
Okay, thank you, Antonia. So first of all, I'll talk about communication. Communication is very important. So I'll talk about establish a clear communication channel. That's the first one because it's very important. So for instance, messages, we have Slack, we have Skype, we have Microsoft Teams. Then also for interviews, for conferences, for interactions, quick interactions, we have Zoom, we have Google Meet. For my team, we usually work with Skype, and then when we have interviews, we basically use Zoom. So it's as it suits you, you do what you need, it suits you. Sorry. So we also have clear goals and expectations. So as a remote worker, for a remote role, for your job to thrive, you need to set clear goals and expectation. It's essential for you to have a roadmap that guides the team towards success. It's very important. So this is where setting clear and achievable goals. It's very important to have clear goals. And also for all the team members to be in sync, to also understand what you explain in your goals. We usually have regular meetings, virtual meetings, one-on-one check-in, opportunity for us to be able to revisit the goals, to track the progress, and also to be able to make adjustments if needed. So investing in the right tools and technology, I've mentioned that in clear communication, then also continuous learning. As a remote worker, on-site hybrid learning is important. So we need to learn to hone our skills and also to stay well informed in your industry, whatever industry you find yourself. Then celebrating of your achievements as a team, as an individual, it's good to celebrate achievements, your milestones, your success. It boosts our morals and achievements. So those are just the few, but those are the few ones that are very important. Having clear communication channels, setting clear goals, investing in the right tools, promotion of learning and development, and then celebrating of achievements. The last one is very important to me because it keeps me going since I'm not seeing my colleagues physically.
Fantastic. Thank you, Esther. And Esther said setting communication, and everybody must be on a consensus on the expectations of every staff and what you're supposed to deliver on the job. Exciting. And my last question would be to Darlington, but definitely is not the least. Earlier on, Chijioke was telling us about the importance of work culture in attracting and retaining tech talent. So I'll be asking, how can startups, the startups are a bit peculiar than other organizations. How can startups with limited resources attract and retain a strong tech team without promising them heaven and earth? What to you?
Okay, that's quite a question, right? Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, all right, cool. So I think that number one of the things that you want to do firstly is to define your employer value proposition, right? That's your EVP, right? And what this means is this is a unique set of benefits, right? And opportunities that you offer to your employees in exchange for their contribution, in exchange for their commitment, right? And you should, reflect your mission, your culture, your goals as an organization, and also very importantly, you should showcase what makes you different, right? What makes you appealing as a startup, right? And if you want to create a compelling, EVP, that's an employer value proposition, one of the things that you need to do is firstly understand who your target talent pool is, right? That is people that you want to actually work with you, the kind of skill sets that they possess, right? You could also, maybe speak to their demography, for example. Of course, it has to align with your culture, right? So you need to also, you need to understand your target talent. You need to understand their motivations. You need to understand their pain points, and then align that with, your align your message with their aspirations, right? And one very important thing about having an employer value proposition is that it can also be used to create job descriptions, because all of these things should be itemized when people are applying to jobs in your organization. They want to see why yours is the best organization to actually work for, right? So they want to see that on the job description. When you check your career pages, they want to also see your EVP reflect there. Some talents like myself will go to social media posts to see what is going on there. For example, like I think Sterling Bank is doing wonderfully well. They are an organization that if I were to choose to work with, if I were to choose to work for, they would probably be top 3. Right, I love what they are doing there. Of course, based off the brands that we are seeing, the marketing and everything. So social media posts is also very important. It affects your employer branding, affects your employer reputation, right? One of the things also that you want to also do is you want to offer equity, all right, or stock options, because if you cannot balance the scale in terms of the salary ask of the candidates, then you have to look for other alternatives. And one of the other alternatives that you can consider is offering equity or stock options, right? Because again, it's a startup, and since startups may not be able to compete with the larger companies on salary alone, offering equity or stock options is actually like an attractive incentive for the tech talent, right? And this would also give, this basically involves giving technical talent a stake in your company's success, and the potential for significant financial rewards down the line, right? So this is very important. And one of the things that organizations are starting to do, startups are starting to do now, is they offer flexibility and autonomy, right? Everyone knows that flexibility is a golden ticket, right? You can remember, not for everyone, not everyone actually dreams of the 9 to 5, right? So when you offer remote work, you offer unconventional working hours. There are some companies that are now offering even a 4-day work week, right? So it's like saying we value your work, not your seat warming abilities, right? So you need to understand the power of a good challenge, and you need to be able to communicate that, because what top quality talents are actually looking at right now, right? They want to go to where the action is, right? They want to go to where the action is. They want to solve real life problems and not just pushing some papers, right? So when you give them a course, give them a mission, give them something that gets them out of the bed in the morning, right? And remember also, when you're communicating this, you're not just offering them a job. Basically, what you're doing is you're offering them an adventure, right? And you make sure that that comes across, in your recruiting, in your recruiting sphere, right? So we are communicating to them that it's not just a job opening, right? It's a ticket to, it's like a ticket to the greatest show on earth, right? And
Interesting.
at least that's what startup should do. There are other points, but I could stop here.
Fantastic. Wow, wow, wow. It's been insightful, and it speaks p.m., past 6 p.m. already, and we always love to stick to time out of respect from our participants and our speakers' schedule. Amazing. Darlington say give them a ticket to paradise, right? Offering equity, empathy in your work rules and regulations. Chijioke also pointed at the same thing when he was talking about how people would actually stick where they know they are valued and where they know that they have potential to grow. They have room to thrive. And that's it for me, man. For Mr. Tilson, my take home is policymakers have to look at our curriculum and they have to ensure that we have relevant tech skills that are relevant to today's work being taught in our schools, various organizations that are carrying out education. We also spoke about personalization when it comes to designing our training programs. So I think that's it for me. And it's been an amazing 1 hour. I wish it's not 1 hour, but well, the clock keeps ticking. Mr. Tosin, over to you. It's been amazing.
All right, thank you so much, everyone. I would have loved to say a lot of things now, but let's just keep it here. Thank you so much, Chijioke. Thank you, Akinta. Thank you, Esther. Sorry about that. Thank you, Darlington. You know, I used to have a friend that would say, the reason why he has stayed so much in a company is because they pay him on the 26th of that month. So he's not ready to go to one company seeking for paradise and they are paying him on the 15th of the next month or something. You know, so I think that is one of those things, just like you have mentioned, I'm just trying to cite that from what you have talked about, startup and all, you know, developing EVP and all. And it actually comes to align with what Chijioke said about culture, you know, having good culture as an organization and all. So we want to say a big thank you to every one of you for joining this session today. And for us at the Co-Innovation Center, Institute of Technology, we are actually doing something so massive now. Aside from actually training people on tech skills, we are actually doing the hardware trainings, because we know that all of these tools that we are using for our tech skills and all, we also need some people to actually make sure that these tools and equipment are actually in good space. And we have launched our hardware training that talks the laptop repair, the phone repair, the renewable energy. When we talk about inverter, solar, we see that a lot of people actually want to play in that space, and we are looking at what to do, because we talked about power and there is a need. You know, we are going into a serious realm now, even in the country, where we need other power substitute for light, so that people can be able to do their other gigs, like Esther is doing a remote job. I actually envy Esther. So with this, we want to say thank you. Thank you so much for this session. Thank you, Antonia. Thank you, Darlington. It's so super excited for me to be on a call with you all this evening.
And thanks
I'm looking
to all
forward
our
to another
beautiful
opportunities.
participants too.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank
Goodbye,
you, Mr.
everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.